Hey! Today I'm gonna read from RPG horror stories because it's easy. What I need to do is have a little cartoon like animal bounce as I talk. You know, I'm making fun of a lot of content creators like Crit Crab or Drake or the Loot Goblin Marketplace. They're not bad. I have nothing against them. As a matter of fact, I listen to them all the time. And, I can't really judge them for having just minimal animation because you listen to them. You're not really staring at the screen. They're just something to listen to. And that's kind of the point. And they know that. They know that's what we do. We don't sit there and watch it. We listen. But anyway, the reason why I like RPG horror stories is there's often lessons we can take from them, lots of ideas we can have, and lots of do's and don'ts we can take when we want to DM a game or play a game. And I feel like that's important as learning, because D&D and really any tabletop RPG are very open-ended. When you roleplay, there's lots of odds and ends, and there's a lot of ins and outs. It's a very open book. It's not restrictive, it's very open, and that's what makes it really fun. There's lots of ways to solve other issues, big issues and small, and sometimes it's not what anybody would expect to happen, but it can happen, and there's nothing wrong with that. So let's look into RPG horror stories, and let's look at a story right now, and let's see what we can take away from the story. This comes to us from Groovy Goblin, over here on Reddit. This happened over a decade ago. I was the forever DM in my group, but one of my friends tried to DM. Every time he did, I tried being very supportive in hopes that he would, get to enjoy his experience and keep DMing. Yeah, I've been there. When you're a forever DM, sometimes you just want, hey, you give it a shot. It's a one shot or something. Give me a break. I want to play because it's fun to play. I love DMing too, but sometimes you just need a break. Players, keep that in mind. sometimes like, it can at least try. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but just keep that in mind. We start a new Pathfinder campaign set in a desert wasteland. Bear in mind that we've been playing D&D 3.5/Pathfinder for years at that point. So we all have pretty good knowledge of what each class can do. I play as a dwarf cleric. Our session starts as our party enters a town whose inhabitants are barricaded indoors because of frequent sandstorms. A band of orcs took over the village's main well in a nearby cave and turned off the water distribution system, cutting off the town's access to their water supply. The townsfolk can't travel much further because of the storms, and they'll die of dehydration unless someone enters the cave, deals with the orcs, and gets the water pipes running again. Actually, that's already a really good setup right there. That's a phenomenal setup. Wow. So I announce I cast Create Water. The DM looks at me like I insulted his mother and asks how much water it creates. Well, it's like a gallon, I say, reading the manual, but it's a level 0 spell. I can cast it as many times as I want, no components or any other cost. So just tell everyone to start bringing me their bowls, jars, jugs, whatever, and we'll stock as much water as possible. Oh no. And there goes your entire campaign. There goes... It was a really good setup. And their player just cheeses the entire thing. Oh man, that's a problem. That's one of the hard things about being a DM. Is some things, because of magic, is just so cheesable that your entire campaign is null and void. Oh man. That's probably why Create Water is a level 1 spell in 5e, because you can't spam it and fix an entire crisis like this. Oh man. The DM lets me do that, the town folks cheer, but there's still a sandstorm outside, so we can't travel much further. So we stay in town until the storm subsides. We stay in that town doing nothing for the entire game session. Any attempt to go outside would have us take damage and penalties. At the end of the session, we told the DM that we just didn't really understand what he wanted us to do since he wouldn't provide us any opportunity to really do anything. To which our DM replied, well, I had a really cool dungeon adventure in mind, which Groovy Goblin ruined by casting Create Water. Yep. Yep. I told him there are lots of ways to get us into the cave. If it was just that absolutely necessary, that's what we needed to do. The orcs could have kidnapped someone from town, we could have started an ominous ritual in the cave, or the DM could have just straight up told us, hey guys, doing cast or create water just ruined the whole thing, just go in the cave. And to be fair, yeah, a lot of players would be like, oh, okay. All right, you had a whole plan. Let's just go forward with it. We can make up a little reason or something to go in this cave. The DM got mad, told me to run the game myself if I was that great of a DM, and he ended the campaign right then and there. You know, maybe that's what happens. Sometimes you go make this whole adventure, and it's just done in the blink of an eye because of cheese. In this guy's defense, we were mostly old teenagers, around 18 when this happened. Edit. As many of you have pointed out, a beginner DM can easily feel like their campaign is derailed when something unexpected happens. And I should have been more assertive to that possibility. I wasn't really trying to screw my friend over. I just heard we need water, realized I had infinite water, and 1 + 2 = 3, without realizing it could potentially screw over the whole campaign. From a whole experience DM point of view, this wasn't something that could potentially ruin an adventure, and I have failed to see how much damage it would cause. I think we both had bad communication. I should have told my friend, hey, did I just screw over the whole campaign? Can I help you rectify that by coming up with ways we could be tempted into the cave anyway? On the other hand, he should have been upfront with us when I derailed the adventure instead of keeping us locked inside an entire session, then blaming me for it. We're both teenagers. I'm pretty sure we'd handle it different today. So yeah, I mean, sometimes as a DM, there's a lot to take away from this. As a DM, sometimes when something gets cheesed or broken right away, you can just ask, like, hey guys, I made this whole thing and you guys ruined it in a heartbeat. Or, hey, because, create water would cheese the whole game, how can you pick a different spell instead? I think everyone would understand, yeah, maybe it would ruin the whole experience if I just had this cheese spell. And I think that's very fair. I can't think of many players being so upset that the DM asked them to change out one spell, especially one that ruined the whole game. No, honestly, this is actually a really cool setting and setup for a game. I really like this. I might use this in one of my adventures. I like desert environments because most people just do like fantasy towns, yada yada yada, but not many people do desert environments anymore or frozen environments unless they're doing something like Icewind Dale. But I like this idea of a concept. People need water, there's a sandstorm making travel difficult, and you can have a whole campaign just centered around that. And I feel like it's just communication in the end. The author had it right. It's just communication. That's all you really need to do. Sometimes it sucks because, like you work really hard on something and you really don't want to just sit there and be like, oh, oops. And you got to figure out how to get your players in on it. And if you're a new DM, don't be afraid to ask your players questions, especially the experienced DM. There's no shame, pull them aside and say, hey man, this is what happened. How do I fix this, or what can I do? And ask for help, because don't make a game bad. That's what you risk doing. Just ask them, like, hey man, this you kind of ruined my whole game. What can we do to fix this? And is there any way I can do this? I worked really hard. And a good DM, a good friend would be like, yeah dude, we'll fix it. How about, once again, I can change up my create water spell or something like that. It never hurts to ask questions, because it doesn't really, you think it makes you a bad DM, but it doesn't. And especially when you're starting out, you're gonna have a lot of questions, a lot of things you're not gonna really be super familiar with. I mean, heck, even the DMG can't help you with everything. The DMG is a good tool, but the DMG has a lot of things it can't explain, like interacting with certain kinds of people in your party and stuff like that, or how to this exact situation. It will give you like vague ideas, because it can't cover every single possible scenario. It can't. But it's not a bad tool to use anyway. But sometimes, once again, it just can't solve everything for you. Sometimes it just helps to think outside the box or ask for help. Anyway, that does it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the story, and I'll talk to you guys later.